Good evening, everyone. I call this meeting of the Township of Union Planning Board to order August 27th, 2026. Sunshine notice, please.
The Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting stating the time and place was satisfied by the filing of an annual notice with the local source and the Star Ledger. Newspapers of general circulation within the Township of Union and posted on the bulletin board of the Township of Union Municipal Building.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Lang,
Here.
Mr. Alexander,
Here.
Mr. Cohen,
Here.
Ms. Espinosa, Mr. Frayne,
Here.
Mr. Miller, Ms. Perkins,
Here.
Mayor Frazier,
Here.
Committeewoman Terrell,
Here.
Ms. Khan, Dr. Klee.
Here.
All right.
Okay. Next item up are the minutes from the June 25th, 2026 meeting. Can I get a motion to
So moved.
move by Mr. Cohan? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Khalid. Roll call, please.
Chairman Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Frayne,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Abstain, I wasn't present.
Mayor Frazier,
Abstain.
Committeewoman Terrell,
Yes.
Dr. Klee.
Yes.
Okay. Next item up is the resolution for application 2026-03 Raising Cane's. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Dr. Khalid. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please.
Chairman Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Frayne,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Abstain.
Mayor Frazier,
Abstain.
Committeewoman Terrell,
Yes.
Dr. Klee.
Yes.
All right. Next item up is a presentation from Kristen Russell for area in need of redevelopment for Salem Road Block 1409.
Ms. Russell, raise your right hand. You swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Kristen Russell with Colliers Engineering and Design. I'm here this evening to present the Salem Road Area in Need of Redevelopment Study. By this point, I think we're all pretty familiar with the redevelopment process, so I'm going to jump right into it. For context, this study area is one block, and it's block 1409 on lot, and lot 28.01. It's 21,000 square feet, and it's located with three frontages. The primary frontage is on Salem Road, but then there's secondary frontage on Alden Terrace and Vauxhall Road. There are residential properties to the rear and a mix of residential and commercial uses along Salem Road. Oh, what's happening? The current zoning on the site is NC Neighborhood Core, which allows an extensive list of commercial uses, including retail sales and services, restaurants, and the like. The minimum lot size in the NC zone is 15,000 square feet, and the maximum building height is 3 stories and 35 feet. Once upon a time, the site had a gas station on it, and it has been quite some time ago, it was determined to be a known contaminated site. It did go through remediation, so it is safe for many uses. However, depending on what a future use might be, it may need continued remediation. For example, I wouldn't be surprised if a residential use needed more remediation, but that's up to the property owner at a future date. It is generally safe at this point in time. Just some pictures to rather quickly go through the history of the area. And now that I'm looking at them on the screen, I hope that you can even see them. But what it shows is, even as early as 1954, there was development on that site in the form of several buildings. It was never just one big building occupying the site or one building and a parking lot. It was very often multiple structures. And that makes sense with the former parking lot use that I mentioned. There would have probably been a garage use and a canopy for the fuel tanks and such. So as early as 1954, we find images to that effect, and that continues through pretty much through the present. You can see in 2019, that's the first image that I found where the majority of the site is demolished. And that's how, we would find it today. The majority of the site is just a gravel, vacant parking area. I wouldn't even call it a parking area. It's just a gravel, vacant, broken up asphalt type of site. Though at the southern side of the site, we do have a one-story building that also is vacant. There has not been a tenant in there for some time. Goodness. So just to run over the local redevelopment housing law that you're all familiar with, there are a series of criteria that any site must meet one or several of in order to be qualified as an area in need of redevelopment. And I should have mentioned this at the top, this is a non-condemnation area in need study. So should the governing body choose to adopt this as a redevelopment area, they would not have the power of eminent domain. So this site that I'm looking at, I compared it to all of the criteria that are available, and those that it qualified under are A, B, and D. A, in short, is substandard, unsafe, unsanitary, dilapidated, and obsolete buildings. B is buildings that were previously used for commercial, that have been abandoned for at least 2 consecutive years. And D, areas where the buildings or improvements are detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So as I said, this is one lot. Here you can see a photograph of the building that's on the south side of the site. It's an existing building. It's been vacant since 2019, as far as I can find in the records. The paved area on the north side of the site were abandoned at some point prior to 2008 and demolished between 2017 and 2018. The northern portion of the site is enclosed by a temporary chain link fence that is in poor condition. Here you can see a picture of that fence. As it relates to criterion A, that's the deterioration criterion. The asphalt, the ground cover is broken asphalt. There's a lot of debris. The fence in places was pulled away, showing evidence of trespass. The existing commercial building is substandard. There are gaps where the foundation meets the asphalt, really, and it looks like there's been some water infiltration there. The facade, the brick, the wood on the facade is showing signs of rot. And as I mentioned, there's contamination status of the site, so that plus the deterioration makes it a good candidate for criterion A. Criterion B is where we look at the vacant and abandoned buildings. So this would not apply to the parking lot area of the site, but the remaining building on the property has been vacant since, I said, at least 2019. We only need to show 2 years, so we are well within that range. And the building sitting there vacant has fallen into a state of disrepair and it would be untenable at this point. Finally, criterion D is the obsolete layout and design. The side street that runs adjacent to that building has a slight grade, which doesn't seem like a lot until you look at it against the facade of that building and you realize that the building is consequently partially sunken into the grade. It's just not an ideal situation. And then, so that when the pedestrian is walking up the sidewalk, the windows are almost like below them. It's pretty awkward. It wouldn't be an ideal situation for any business to be in there. The existing zoning limits impervious coverage to 80%, and this site has 100% coverage. The corner location, 2 corners actually, is highly visible, and the existing conditions are an eyesore and detriment to the morals, economy, and vibrancy of the community. That would be a great block front to see some activity on, to see revitalization that would uplift that entire corridor. The building and the site present safety hazards, as I said, deteriorating asphalt. Hang on. Sorry. Deteriorating asphalt, deteriorating facade, and the site's existing limitations have caused the decay of the block front, which impacts the broader community. So I've listed 3 criterion that this site, I believe, qualifies for under the local redevelopment and housing law. You only need 1. So 3 gives us really an extra boost in confidence that this site would qualify. I'd like to take any questions about the site, but just as a reminder, the next steps in this process would be to send a recommendation to the Township Committee, and they would then, if they agree with you, adopt a resolution determining that this is an area in need of redevelopment. And then at some point in the future, a redevelopment plan could be written for this site.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay. Comments from the board, if there's any comments? Comments from the public? Okay, with that, can I get a motion to concur with the findings and recommendations of the study and refer this back to the Township Committee for further action?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Chairman Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Cohan,
Yes.
Mr. Frame,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Frazier,
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell,
Yes.
Dr. Khalid.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Next item up on the agenda is application 2026-05, Hollywood Memorial Park and Cemetery. Mr. Hale? Oh, have we not sworn in the engineer? Can we swear in the engineer?
Mr. Venezia, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Benet, do you swear the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. Stephen Hale, representing the applicant Hollywood Memorial Park and Cemetery, and great to see you all this evening. This is an application for another mausoleum at the cemetery. I'm sure you're well familiar with it. It's been a staple in Union Township for many, many years. And essentially what's being proposed here is a new mausoleum. It is, in fact, in the cemetery zone, so the cemetery and the mausoleum use is permitted, a specific zone for the cemeteries. And you'll see when our engineer testifies, this one is located in the interior of the cemetery. It's close to where there's an existing mausoleum as you go towards the center of the cemetery and the office for the cemetery. It's not at the perimeter. Again, you'll see that from our plan. As I mentioned, we do comply with the use of the property. We do need a slight height variance, and we'll explain as to why we need that, but it's, and you'll hear testimony from our planner, it's a C variance because it doesn't exceed either 10 feet or 10%, but it's necessary due to the nature of the construction of the mausoleums. And surprisingly, there's a real need for additional mausoleums. I know, unfortunately, being there all too often for friends and family, having a place, especially in the winter months, where family can grieve and there can be a presentation to the family and prayer. So that's what's important. And surprisingly, there's less than 100 crypts available for sale right now, and they have an internment rate of over 600 per year, and therefore there's only about 1 year of availability. So this is an important addition to the cemetery. So with that being said, what I'd like to do first is to call upon our site engineer. Where's Gerald Cesario, who will take us through the site.
Mr. Cesario, would you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Probably ask him to spell his name for the record.
For the record, can you spell your last name?
Sure. Full name is Gerard, Gerard. Last name, Gesario, Gesario.
And Mr. Cesario, if you could please give the board your work, educational experience, area of expertise, licenses you hold, and whether you've been qualified as a professional engineer before other boards or courts.
Sure. I have a degree in Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I received in 1988. I've been a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey since 1994. License is currently and has always been in good standing. I'm currently employed as the Director of Engineering for Jarmel Keisel Architects and Engineers. During my time there, I've testified in roughly 60 different boards throughout the state. I've not been before this board, although I've been before 7 or 8 other boards in Union County.
Board stipulates.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. Mr. Cesario, obviously you've been working on this project for quite some time. If you could take the board through the engineering aspects, and I believe you also have the renderings and the like that were prepared by the architect.
Yes. I was going to start with the aerial exhibit that shows the property where the development is going.
And Chair, just if it was a document that was supplied as part of the application, we need to mark it. If it is a new one, we'd have to mark them sequentially.
This is a new one. This is
Okay, so we'll make that A1.
correct.
Okay.
It has a date of August 27th, 2026. It's an aerial image, drawing number E100, simply titled Aerial Exhibit. The area outlined in the heavy yellow line is the total lot, which is listed as Lot 1 in Block 5403, and that is roughly just over 43 acres. The circled area, the small circle area, that is the area where the proposed building will be going. Area of disturbance within there's about 0.8 acres, and that includes all utility trenching, construction staging areas for that. So it's less than an acre of the 43-acre site. Access to the cemetery is from the east off Stuyvesant Road. The site is bounded also to the north by Route 78. To the west, there's additional cemetery property. To the south, maybe 200 feet off our property line, are single-family residential homes. Let's see. We surveyed only the portion of the site where we're disturbing, basically within that yellow circle. It's a gentle slope. It goes from west to east, and it drains to an inlet that's within the circulation road to the west, right along that western property line. That area is pretty much open lawn area. There's a small cluster of trees just to the left of the existing building. It may or may not need to be cleared for some of the parking and sidewalks. It depends on the routes when they go out and do actual construction. The intent would be to not remove any trees, but Don't know for sure until we understand the extent of the roots of some of the trees that are in that little cluster. Let's see, I am going to switch to second exhibit. Oops, that's not it. Apologize. There it is. Again. Okay, this is would be the second exhibit. Dated August 27th, 2026. Drawing E200, which is just simply titled Site Exhibit Plan. It's basically a color version of our site plans, and it also includes the zoning table on it. So what the applicant is proposing is an 8,160 square foot mausoleum building. That is represented by the tan color on the exhibit. The total roof area is 10,223 square feet. The mausoleum building is encompassed by a walkway, and the roof overhangs. There's columns along the edge of the walkway, so the roof covers that walkway. So the total roof area is 10,223 square feet. I'm going to go to the rendering.
Is that exhibit A2?
A2 then, yes, thank you. Thank you, counsel.
Just to talk a little about the building itself. And I don't know, Steve, if this was part of the package that was submitted.
Why don't we mark that as A3?
Okay. Yeah, this is a colored rendering of the proposed mausoleum. As you can see, it'll be a two-story building, similar to others that are in the cemetery. The main roof will be 36 feet 6 inches above grade, also similar to the other mausoleum that was previously approved. This one will have a truss roof over the interior hallway, so the highest point on this mausoleum will be 38 feet 6 inches above grade. As Mr. Hale mentioned, the applicant is seeking a C variance, relief for the building height. 35 feet is the max allowed, and as I said, this one will be 38 feet 6 inches. Building will be constructed of reinforced concrete. It'll have granite on the exterior, marble interior. Will have heat and air condition, and it's also equipped with an elevator. This mausoleum will accommodate 2,572 crypts. So just going back to Exhibit A2. There it is. Some additional site work, ancillary work in addition to the building. There's going to be 10 parking spaces constructed in front off the existing circulation road, asphalt paved parking spaces. There'll be some site grading, minimal landscaping, a few trees are proposed. The building will require new utility services, and we're also proposing a stormwater management system, which is to the west of the proposed building. So staying on the stormwater, this site, under the newest New Jersey rules and regulations for stormwater management, this site falls into the category of a major stormwater development simply because we are introducing more than 1/4 of an acre of new impervious area. What that kicks us into is we have to address water quantity, water quality, and groundwater recharge. So for water quantity, for a major development, we have to compare existing peak flows from our area of disturbance and provide a system that can attenuate those flows so that the developed peak flows are 50%, 75%, or 80% of the 210 and 100-year storm values, respectively, for the existing conditions peak flow. To do that, we proposed a small scale bioretention system to the left. This will actually look similar to, as I was coming in here, what's in front of your library. Not quite as deep, but it'll look similar to that. So that'll attenuate the flow. There's an outlet structure So the reduced flow comes through there and will get discharged into the existing inlet that's on the existing circulation road to the west. For groundwater recharge, the way the system is designed is it'll store enough volume to meet the recharge requirements. So that volume gets stored and infiltrated back into the ground. And water quality, technically, we don't need to address because we don't have a quarter acre more of what they call motor vehicle surface. But simply by providing the recharge requirements, we're actually addressing water quality for this site as well. So all the roof drain and the drainage from the additional parking spaces will get collected and conveyed into this small-scale bioretention system. As I mentioned, utilities, there'll be a new gas service, electric, and water. They're all relatively nearby that we can bring right into the building. We're going to have a sanitary lateral exiting the rear of the building and tying into the main that runs roughly down the center of the circulation drive to the west of our building. No lighting is proposed, no site lighting is proposed, no site signage is proposed with this application. And that's really sums up everything related to the site.
Right. And just briefly, you've had an opportunity to review the August 11, 2026 letter from Colliers. I think you've addressed all of those items, but just confirm that you don't have any concerns or issues with any of the items raised?
Yes, we had the August 11, 2026 letter from Colliers. The plans we resubmitted, we believe address all the technical items. There are some administrative items, such as cost estimates, a couple of outside agency approvals, which we'll certainly obtain should the board vote favorably on this application.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions of Mr. Cesario.
Questions from the board?
Sir, is that a sprinklered building?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's why
Is
I
this a
asked it.
sprinkler?
We can confirm
Yeah,
if it's required, it certainly will be.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't believe it is, but I don't want to say 100% sure
Yeah.
of that.
Thank you.
I got to remember, I've been in those so many times. I'm trying to look if I looked up at the ceiling. So,
Thank you.
again, if required, it certainly will be.
Yeah, obviously, if it requires it per building code, it certainly will
Yep.
will have it.
Doctor?
Just a question, remark. In the technical comments, item 6, it talks about the recommended 4-inch sewer line to the new building to avoid the 90-degree turns as a recommendation.
Yes, the plans, the current plans before the board, that was addressed. So we have taken care, we believe we've taken care of all the technical comments.
Thank you.
I defer to the board's professionals, though.
Thank you.
Is there a mechanical ventilation being provided?
There will be, yeah. We haven't gotten, well, my office isn't doing the mechanical electric design, but they haven't gotten that far with the plans, but I'm sure it will.
Okay. I guess I wanted to know where it would be and if that had to
My
do with-
understanding is everything is rooftop located.
Any further questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, one comment. We have received the stormwater report for this project. It appears that it is generally in compliance. I did have a question regarding whether a guardrail will be provided along the top of the wall. It's right by the roadway.
We could, the basin is, I think it's about 3 feet deep. Guardrail would probably be a good idea, since I know lighting is not too abundant typically in cemeteries, so I wouldn't be opposed to adding a guardrail with some reflectors on them.
I would agree that one should be installed there.
I'm sorry?
I would agree that one
Oh.
should be installed, given
We can
the
comply with that,
closeness to the road.
not a problem.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Yeah.
Good day. Name's Eric Owes, O-W-E-S, 1083 Mayfair Road, Union, New Jersey. How you doing?
Good.
Good, good, good. Just a couple of brief questions. Regarding, let me go first with, would you happen to have a site plan, it might be a stretch, that shows the existing building, the proposed building, in relationship to the entire site?
Not a site plan, just the aerial. that
Could I see
brought
the
up.
aerial
Sure.
briefly, please?
Yes.
It was not zoomed in, maybe you could zoom in a little bit?
I can try.
Okay.
I'm technically challenged sometimes.
Yeah, but you got it, yeah, that's okay. You know, let me look over here.
So they, oops, sorry. Oops, come on.
That's fine.
I had to change colors. There we go. So that's the circled area is where the proposed mausoleum is going.
Okay. And the existing one, I would point to it, please? The existing?
Oh, the existing building
Yes.
is just to the east, and then there's another building further east.
Right, okay. And the existing parking in relationship to, okay, so where is the existing parking in relationship? Yeah, again, it seems as if there should be a site plan that shows everything, but in relationship, but it doesn't look like you have that right now, so that's okay.
Go to my survey.
The current building right now, with its parking as well as in relationship to the new building that's coming, I wanted to see if you had something in that regard, so it doesn't look like you do, but that's fine.
Let's see, this is the survey.
Okay.
So this square represents where the new building is going, and
Okay.
this is the existing just to the right.
Oh, okay. Now that's helpful. Okay. All right. And where is the site entry?
To the east, we're off Stuyvesant Avenue.
Oh, Stuyvesant. Okay. All right. So that kind of answers my question a little bit. The rendering. Could you bring up the rendering briefly?
Sure.
Keep looking over there. I was talking about the three-dimensional rendering.
Oh,
Exterior
the
from
building,
architect.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
That is,
Okay, and you said granite, the materials were a concrete building with granite, I would imagine the red areas is the granite?
that is my understanding.
Okay.
Just for clarity, I am not the architect on the
Okay,
project.
understood, understood. It looks like the bottom massing is higher than the upper massing? Is that,
I would have to look at the elevation.
okay, all right, so I'm not going to ask any more architectural questions, that's fine. And the last one is, what is the parking requirements in relationship to what you're providing?
We did not see parking requirements specific to mausoleums,
Okay,
so it's kind of based on what the operator said.
I find myself, unfortunately, when I've had to go there, I found myself parking in the roadway. The entryway roadway, it's a little bit challenging. That might be something you might want to visit. For convenience, not necessarily requirement, but that's it.
Okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Hale?
Yes. Thanks, Chair. I'd now like to call upon Robert Hudak, our professional planner.
Mr. Hudak, raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you just spell your last name for the record?
Yes, Robert, first name Hudak, H-U-D as in David, A-K. Licensed professional planner. My licenses are all in order. I have been before this board before and accepted as a witness, but if you want to go through my CV, we certainly can.
Board stipulates.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, Mr. Hudak, obviously, based upon our submission, this is a permitted use in the zone, and we're seeking the C variance for the height. If you could please provide the planning justification for that relief.
Sure. So as the board's aware, but for the edification of the public, variances can be granted under two standards. The first standard is known as the C1 hardship standard. This is where relief may be granted where exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape, or some exceptional topographical or physical feature uniquely affecting the property, or some extraordinary or exceptional situation creates a situation where there are practical difficulties in complying with the ordinance. There's also the C2, known as the flexible C standard. This is where relief may be granted where the purposes of the municipal land use law would be advanced by the deviation, where the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments, and where the project offers a better zoning alternative. We also must satisfy the negative criteria. This is where relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, and that relief can be granted without substantial impairment to the intent and purposes of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. Now, I'm going to argue under both C1 and C2, although I believe there's a stronger C2 argument for the relief being sought. So with respect to the C1, the proposed mausoleum is located, as Mr. Hale had pointed out, within a lawfully existing cemetery containing burial plots, graves, walkways, and related improvements, including an existing mausoleum. These existing improvements create some exceptional physical situations uniquely affecting the property, particularly the established layout, limits available space where a mausoleum such as this can be located. And if I may, reducing the mausoleum's height, even though it's only slightly over what is permitted in the zone, would potentially require a larger footprint to provide and accommodate the need that's existing in the community. Therefore, I believe that these unique conditions make the limited vertical development more appropriate than expanding the building footprint into areas that may contain graves, walkways, cemetery circulation, or other accessory uses on the cemetery. So I believe that's where the hardship lies, if there is any. Now, with respect to the C2, the deviation, again, is very limited. We're looking for I had 38.48 feet, so it's just under that 10% requirement, and it only pertains to the roof trusses are located. The remainder of the mausoleum is 36 feet in height, matching the existing mausoleum. This limited height deviation represents, in my opinion, a better zoning alternative for this property than requiring a larger building footprint, as I talked about in the C1 criteria, because it preserves burial areas and internal circulation and concentrates the improvements near the existing mausoleum and maintains the established cemetery development pattern. The proposal will also allow the cemetery to continue to service the community needs. As Mr. Hale pointed out, but actually in our meeting, the operator indicated that should the board approve this mausoleum and it is constructed, they're probably looking at only about 6 months of availability of space that's available until this mausoleum comes online. So there is definitely a community need for this type of facility. And although not precedential, there is case law in Moorhead versus the Board of Adjustment of Fort Lee that is instructive because the appellate division recognized that satisfying a demonstrated community need for entombment space promotes the general welfare, thus advancing purpose A of the municipal land use law. But and although we only need to advance one purpose, I also believe we advance purpose G by providing sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses, because the proposed mausoleum would be located within an existing cemetery that already contains a mausoleum. I also offer purpose I, promoting desirable visual environment, because the design features as shown in the architectural rendering, which I believe is A2, show an attractive, functional building that will provide comfort to families in their time of need. Therefore, it's my opinion that the requested variances can be granted under the C2 criteria. With respect to the negative criteria, I don't believe there's any substantial detriment to the public good. The use remains a permitted use. The proposed mausoleum is located a substantial distance away from residential uses. The limited additional height will not create substantial visual, light, air, privacy, noise, or circulation issues related to this use. The height exceedance is associated primarily with the roof form rather than additional occupied floor areas, which further limits its potential impact. And as noted, the proposed mausoleum will serve a demonstrated need in the community. With respect to the final prong, no substantial impairment to the zone plan and zoning ordinance. I don't believe there's any impairment. The C zone is intended for a cemetery use. The proposed improvements are customary to a cemetery. The exceedance is limited, occurs primarily in the roof truss areas, located within the interior, as you've seen on the slides of the established cemetery, and the proposed location either conforms or primarily exceeds the minimum required setbacks from residential or commercial uses. Thus, accordingly, the proposal will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hudak. No further questions at this time.
Okay, questions from the board? Questions from the public?
How you doing? Could you just describe in a little bit more detail the reason for the 3'6" extension above the 35-foot required height limitation?
My understanding is it's because of the architectural design of the building. They're using wood trusses.
Wood trusses, okay.
Wood trusses versus using concrete. There is a cost factor in that. It's also an aesthetic, so it'll look a little better, if you will. That's my understanding.
Wood trusses, yeah, I mean, I would prefer that over steel. I mean, interesting, wood trusses, 'cause it was noted that it was a concrete building, but there is a combustible element to it, so the trusses are wood.
That's my understanding from our meetings with the architect.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that prompts other questions, but I haven't formulated them yet. But, okay, so for 3'6" variance, I was also noting, but again, I think it's an architectural question, that the lower massing is higher than the upper massing, and, you know.
I don't believe they are, just on my view of the plans, but again, I'd
I'm pulling up it
encourage you-
again?
If I can.
Yeah, sure. I think it was,
I believe these are the ones we saw before, just
yeah.
bear with me a second here.
That one, yeah.
I believe that's the,
It could be foreshortening, maybe you're right, I don't know, but it looks as if the lower massing is just a little bit higher, and
I think it's an angular shot.
yeah.
maybe that's what it is.
My
Okay.
understanding is they're, from my review of the architectural plans, which I believe are part of the file, it is pretty much equal. But
Okay, fair enough, sounds good. Wood trusses, huh? Okay, I keep vacillating there, but I didn't, you know, when I heard concrete building, I just figured, okay, concrete. Now I'm hearing about wood trusses, and that's just interesting. Just interesting. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Hale?
Yeah, we have no further witnesses at this time. Obviously, our witnesses that have testified are here if there's further questions.
Okay, comments from the board?
Mr. Hale, would you think it's a fair statement for me to say that people are dying to get into the mausoleum?
Good one, Vince.
I apologize. I had to say it.
You had to do that.
Gene, I did that for you.
You were full of them tonight. Any further comments from the board?
And Mr. Chairman, then just briefly to sum up.
Let me
again-
just prompt for any
Oh, I'm
comments
sorry.
from
If you want to ask
from the
the
public before.
questions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
comments from the public. Okay, Mr. Hale.
Yes, again, yeah, thank you very much and appreciate the comments and presentation and comments from the public. Yes, this is, again, a permitted use. The mausoleum is situated, again, far away from any residential, towards the center of the cemetery. You heard about the need for it, and I think it's a well-designed, very attractive building and filling a need for the community. The variance is very minor, and again, it's centrally located and for aesthetic and design purposes, and we would look forward to the board approving the application, and thank you again.
Thank you.
And with our agreement, again, to comply with any of all comments from your board professionals.
So noted. Can I get a motion to approve application 2026-05, Hollywood Memorial Park and Cemetery?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion to approve it.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Calley. Roll call, please.
Chairman Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes?
Mayor Frazier?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Dr. Clee?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Last up for new business tonight is application 2026-96. Did I get that right? American Landmark,
Yeah.
Phase 6.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just one housekeeping issue that we didn't have on the agenda. The application that we heard, we continued last time for United Fire.
Yes.
We had asked them to come back with some additional information. They've asked to continue their application to the September 24th meeting because they're not quite done with all the things we requested of them. So it's 493 Lehigh Avenue. It's the 2026-04 application.
They request that without further notice?
Yeah, in fact,
did.
we wrote a letter into the board. I know Diana's on vacation. You're stuck with me on that one again. But yeah, we started the application, and there was a request for some additional plans. We have John Manilio from Mantera preparing those. Promise you have them for us next week, so we'll make our submission to the board. We would, yes, request that it be carried without the requirement of further notice, and we'd stipulate to any appropriate extension of time as needed.
Okay. Can we, motion to carry such application without further notice to the, what was the next meeting, September 24th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Khalid. Roll call, please.
Chairman Lay,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Cohan,
Yes.
Mr. Frayne,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Frazier,
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell,
Yes.
Dr. Khalid.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denabe. Mr. Hale, if you can proceed
yes.
with American Landmark.
Thank you very much, and great to see you all again. Yes, Stephen Hale, representing American Landmark, Urban Renewal, and it's an exciting portion of the presentation. We've been here for several years with various phases of the project, and frankly, I think this is probably the most exciting. This being the what we phrase as Phase 6, and it's for the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant. And it's proposing to demolish the buildings that are there and then construct a 6-story mixed-use building, about approximately 10,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor, 113 residential units on floors 2 through 6, and 143 on-site parking spaces. There's a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, and there also will be a plaza, approximately 23,000 square feet, public plaza that will serve as the centerpiece of downtown. And I think I saw Bruce, I saw his presentation or prep meetings, and I think you'll be very impressed. Again, this is within a redevelopment area. There are no variances associated with the application. There are a few minor deviations that we'll be seeking, but we'll supply our testimony and justification for those. So again, it's great to see this finally come to fruition, and look forward to our presentation this evening. So I'd like to first call upon we thought we'd start out, a lot of times we start out with engineering, but we thought architecture, and Bruce did a great job laying out what's existing and what's proposed. And so I'd like to call upon Bruce Stevie to first have you sworn in and then take us through it.
Raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you spell your name for the record, please?
My name is Bruce Stevie, S-T-I-E-V-E.
Okay. And Mr. Stevie, if you could please give the board the benefit of your work, educational experience, area of
Sure.
expertise, licenses you hold, and whether you've been accepted as a professional architect before the boards or courts of the state of New Jersey.
Sure. So again, my name is Bruce Stevie. I'm a principal in the firm of MHS Architecture. I have a bachelor's and a master's of architecture. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey since 1996. My license is in current and good standing. I've been accepted by many planning boards in the state and zoning boards in the state of New Jersey. This is my first time in front of the board here. I have worked on projects in Union, but this is my first time in front of you. I've been in front of boards in Bayonne, Jersey City, Hoboken, Union City, West New York, North Bergen, East Rutherford, Harrison, Newark, Nutley, South Orange, Montclair, Bloomfield.
Board stipulates.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much,
to
Mr.
name a
Chairman.
few.
And I believe you have a PowerPoint presentation. And Council, what we'd like to do is to mark that as A1 in our presentation. And we
it's
will supply a copy to the, for the record for the board.
Yes, and so this PowerPoint presentation is 27 slides. It does include the submission package that was submitted for the site plan application, but it also has a couple of additional exhibits, renderings, and some location maps and things. So we'll get started. So the site's located at the intersection of Morris Avenue and Stuyvesant Avenue. It is also surrounded by Bonnell Court. It's proximate to Town Hall, the Public Library, and Freiburg Park. And it's, we think again, as was mentioned, that the location of this is ideal as a town center project. This is basically the Phase 6 assemblage, Block 2903, lots 11.01 and 16 through 24. And as was mentioned, this is a part of the old theater site. This is a Google Earth view of the site. This site shows the project as it's been constructed so far. It also shows something very unique in this image. It shows how Morris Avenue necks down as you head west. So it's wider in front of Town Hall, and then it narrows up at Stuyvesant Avenue, and that creates a very interesting perspective. So as people come into town on Morris Avenue, as you approach the intersection of Stuyvesant, you can see that very clearly this site projects into the what appears to be it's the visual corridor of Morris Avenue. And so, no pun intended, we think that this is a landmark site. We began working on this project in 2022. And we first studied a lot of different development options. In our early meetings with the developer and with the town, it became apparent that this site was very special because of its town center location and because of the condition that I just explained. And so we thought that this would create, that this was a great location for destinations for shopping, restaurants, and public gathering spaces. And when we looked at it, a traditional development pattern of a full block development on this site wouldn't be the best use of this, this location. This is one of the early concept studies that we talked about with the town professionals and with our team. And this study that you see shows that by pulling back the building from Stuyvesant Avenue and from Morris Avenue, we could create a public space at the intersection. So that public space could become the primary focus of this project. We also looked at it and the developer modified their Phase 4 building so that that building now turns so that it will front on the plaza space. And we thought that was very important. One of the great things about European plazas and plazas in general, when they're held together by the architecture of the buildings around them. And so by turning Phase 4 building and creating a front on this plaza, it captures the space. It also hides the parking that's located behind the Phase 4 building. And it also creates a very unique opportunity to allow pedestrians to funnel through the plaza space and through a new generated muse that leads directly to the public parking facility that was created in the Phase 5 building. So now people that park in the Phase 5 project can walk through the muse and actually enter into the plaza space. Early on when we were meeting with the town and we were talking, we had just completed a project in Montclair, New Jersey, where we closed down a public street in front of the Wellmont Theater and created a public arts plaza. And this plaza just opened at that time. And when we presented the idea of a public plaza space, we showed these images. And I think that's when everybody really got excited about what this plaza space could bring to your downtown. Excuse me. So this is an aerial view, a rendered aerial view that shows the proposed project. And it shows how the building is pulled back and angled at the intersection of Stuyvesant Avenue. This is a rendered image of the intersection of Stuyvesant and Morris Avenue. This shows the plaza in front of the building. It shows the building floor, how it's turned and creates a frontage on the plaza, and then the Phase 6 building in the foreground. So tonight we're seeking preliminary and final site plan approval for the Phase 6 project. The project is located in the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment plan, and it has been designed to comply with the requirements of this plan. We're seeking a few minor deviations or waivers. We'll discuss that as we move through the testimony. And as was mentioned, the project will contain 113 residential units, 143 parking units, 10,000 square feet of retail space, and over 24,000 square feet of open space. The project will have, as I mentioned, 143 parking spaces. Some of those will be located in a basement level of parking. In working through the design of the building, we made great efforts to hold the excavation of the basement back from the street frontages so that we could ensure that we weren't excavating right up to the sidewalks, the deep excavations. So in the parking breakdown, there are 113 parking spaces required by the redevelopment plan, and we're providing 143 parking spaces. 51 of those are going to be located on the basement level, 40 are located on the ground floor, and 52 will be located on a second floor. We do have 24 compact spaces. We are asking for a waiver for these compact spaces. These compact spaces measure 7.5 by 16 feet. It is my experience in many multifamily residential buildings that a percentage of compact spaces are adequate and service smaller vehicles. All of the parking spaces in this project are going to be assigned, so tenants will be assigned a parking spot, and so building management will be sure that compact spaces get assigned to people with compact cars. 15% of the parking spaces in the parking garage also are required to be EV charging spaces. Sorry, I went one too far. This is a requirement by the state. And we received a letter from your fire department, a review letter from them, and they requested that if the parking spaces were to be located in the building, that we would need to provide a more robust sprinkler system, and that we should make an effort that all of the parking spaces will be located on the ground floor as near to the garage access as possible, and we would be able to accommodate that. This is a ground floor plan. On the ground floor, we have parking. The parking fronts on Morris Avenue and a portion of Bonnell. However, we made sure, and you'll see in the elevation portion of the building, that the parking is treated just the same as the rest of the building, so it will be indistinguishable from the residential and retail portions of the building. There is 10,000 square feet of retail in this ground floor level. That is the pink color that you see on the screen. It is located on the frontage of the plaza and along the Muse, and we've done that so that it activates the plaza space. One of the things that's very important when you create a great public space is that you provide activity to activate that space. You want that space to be always have people in it. You want it to always feel active and robust. In the purple tone is the residential lobby. So the residential lobby is pushed to the Bonnell Court side of the building. There is the Muse leads back to that. So again, residents from the building will get access from either Bonnell Court or the Muse. There is a trash and move-in location. There's a loading zone that we're proposing in front of the building on Bonnell Court. Trash will be collected inside the building and stored inside the building and will be brought out on collection days by building management. It'll be picked up by a private hauler and taken away. So there won't be any trash stored on the street. It'll all be contained inside the building. I just want to say one more thing about the plaza space. So one of my favorite, I mentioned that I haven't been in front of your planning board. I come to town often. And one of my favorite events is your downtown car show and bike show. And my hope is that this public plaza space that we're creating becomes the kind of best in show location for the award winners or the trophy winners of the car show. This is the second floor plan. You can see the area in gray. That's the parking level of the second floor. And then there's residential units there shown in the gold tone. As was mentioned, 113 units are proposed. 45 of those units will be one-bedroom apartments. 30 of those units will be one-bedrooms with dens. And 38 of the apartments will be two-bedroom units. This is the third floor plan. The one thing I'd like to say about the third floor is this is the first floor of building amenities. In today's market, in today's rental market, they demand highly amenitized buildings. Landmark's past developments in this area all have successfully satisfied this demand. This building will be very similar to those buildings. The area over the garage level is going to house an outdoor amenity. The landscape architect is going to show you some wonderful pictures of this in a couple minutes. There will be barbecues and fire pits located on this floor. And these are all going to be designed to meet all of the IBC, and UCC building codes. These devices will be serviced by emergency shut-off switches. They will have timers. Residents will be all trained on the use of these when they do their move-in and leasing onboards. And there'll also be fire extinguishers proximate to these devices as required by building codes. The entire building also is going to be sprinklered. It'll be sprinkled with an NFPA 13 sprinkler system. And I'll also mention, we've worked on a few other projects, as I mentioned, in Union, and all of those projects also have these types of facilities. This is the third floor plan. And again, I just show this to show how the units are located both front and back of the hallway. They face the street frontage as well as the plaza space. We meet all of the life safety requirements with regard to egress, and we have mechanical spaces on each floor off the corridor spaces. As the building gets taller, there are significant step backs. These are prescribed in the redevelopment plan. So at this floor level, there's a 12-foot setback along Morris Avenue and a 12-foot setback for the majority of Bonnell Court. This helps adjust the building height to the scale of the neighboring properties. At the sixth floor, again, there's an additional setback along Morris Avenue and Bonnell of 6 additional feet. This is the roof plan. Again, in these development projects, oftentimes residents like to get up on the roof and experience the town from looking down and getting the views of the surrounding neighborhood. There'll be an indoor amenity room on the roof and then additional outdoor roof deck areas. These are permitted by the redevelopment plan, and they are within the sizes that are approved by the redevelopment plan. Another waiver that we're going to be requesting is in the amount of green roof. The area provided on the green roof that we are showing right now is approximately 1,500 square feet of roof area. It doesn't meet the minimum standards of the redevelopment plan. However, this building is also going to be providing a series of other green features. The building will be using all low-flow plumbing fixtures. It will contain LED lights, energy-saving LED light fixtures, Energy Star rated appliances. It will be using low VOC paints and finishes. It'll be using locally sourced materials that contain higher recycling content. In addition, there's a significant stormwater system that's being proposed, and we're providing a very significant amount of landscaping in the public plaza space, and you'll see that again when our landscape architect does his testimony. This building is also going to be a no-smoking building. It'll employ smart technologies such as automatic lighting in common areas and stairways. Building will have a security system that will control, and security controls for all the common areas of the building and the parking garages. And residents will have fob controls for access to the building as well as the parking areas. This is a quick building section, and I show this because I want to show you how the building steps back at the top of the building. So you can see Morris Avenue in the top section. You see Morris Avenue is on the right side of the screen, and you see those significant step backs at the top of the building. And that just, those are again prescribed by the redevelopment plan. The building height is 6 stories and 70 feet. This is well below the permitted height in the redevelopment plan. We have typical unit layouts. These show the typical one-bedroom layout, a typical one-bedroom den layout, and then the one-bedroom layout. So this is, again, the rendered building facade. It shows, and then here again, I show that so you can see those step backs along Morris Avenue. These are the building elevations. So the redevelopment plan has a very robust design standards. These are design standards that we're required to follow. This project has been designed to comply with all of the design standards set forth in the redevelopment plan. It meets the required floor-to-floor heights. It meets the facade material requirements by providing a variety of materials and openings across the facade. The parking facades have been designed to blend with the residential portion of the building. The building has been designed to break up in massing using visual breaks both vertically and horizontally. It has a base, a middle, and a top. It meets the transparency requirements of the redevelopment plan at the base of the building and the top of the building. And all of the entry points of the building have been highlighted to stand out on the building facades. The primary building facade materials are masonry, brick. There are two colors of brick being proposed. There'll be a panel system that'll be at the top of the building, so the materials get lighter as you go up. And then building signage. The building signage has been configured to comply with the redevelopment plan and the local sign ordinances for size and type and materials. The signage that we show in our site plan application is diagrammatic. We don't have tenants yet. We don't have a name for the project yet, but this shows the intent of the signage. The real intent of the signage is that it be consistent across the building. We want it to be to create a harmonious environment. It'll be pin-mounted channel letters that will be backlit or halo lit. There won't be any internally illuminated signage. And again, as I mentioned, I think the intention is that it be a uniform sign package for the entire project. And that concludes my testimony.
Well, great job, Ms. Stevie. No further questions at this time, Mr. Chairman?
Questions from the board? Dr. Cowley?
Okay. So on the Morris Avenue side, the EV parking would be located in that side?
It would be located on the ground floor plan. If I can, I'll just quickly go back. And we diagrammed before we had the fire department memo.
Okay.
We had the EV spaces broadcast throughout the building. We would revise our plan to show all of the parking for the EV on the ground floor level as close to the entrance to the garage as possible. And I think that's a request. We often get that request now about EV charging stations.
So because the parking lot area looks like the residential area, it seems almost closed off. What would that look like in order to make it not a first floor closed off indoor environment?
Sure. So we're proposing to put a window system in, similar to the retail windows that we're putting in across the base of the building. So again, one of the requirements of the redevelopment plan is if we're going to have parking that's exposed, that it needs to be treated exactly the same way as the rest of the building. So that's how it's being proposed. So there'll be a window system that's installed. The windows would probably have a tint to them, so you can't see the vehicles, but it'll appear as if that's a continuation of the storefront from the plaza space.
Can you tell me so walk me through the compact spaces and the compact cars. Because, people buy cars all the time. So they might be registered for one and then buy something else. How does that work?
Sure. So again, all the parking spaces in the parking garage will be assigned. And so if you're renting in this building and you have a parking space, you'll work with building management. So if you get a new car or new vehicle and you're going to get a full-size vehicle, you would go back to building management and you get assigned a full-size parking spot. And again, I think that we have more than one-to-one parking for the building. So I think that there's going to be adequate parking. And what we like to do, we like to be as efficient as we can. So we try to use every available space in the parking garage to provide parking spaces. So that's why a small percentage of the parking spaces that we're proposing would be compact parking.
And the rooftop, is it for residents?
Yes, the rooftop would be for resident access only.
Okay. And would there be a schedule or a time, or is that open for residents to be there? And
no,
yeah,
I believe the town probably has ordinances about noise and things like that, and I believe that Landmark has controls on their other buildings that have rooftop access. There's limited times that would be available to residents.
And the barbecue and fireplace would be on the second floor?
Yes,
Third
we have
floor.
the landscape architect is going to talk a little bit more about the actual design of those levels. He's done some wonderful layouts. But again, we've done many, many buildings that have barbecues and fire pits on rooftop amenities. There are strict codes that we have to follow. There's strict safety requirements that we have to follow. And then in addition to that, we provide fire extinguishers in close proximity to these devices. And again, building management will train the people that are moving in how to use them. And there's timers on these devices so that if you have a person that has the barbecue and they set the barbecue up and then they go and leave, if it only runs for a certain period of time and then it shuts off automatically.
So this wouldn't be something that if someone is a resident, they could schedule it out, have a party, and have a lot of strangers playing with the fire pits?
No, and again, building management is going to make sure that that doesn't happen. You do have to reserve the fire pits. You do have to sign up for them. It's not something that you can just walk out and get there and use. You have to make sure that you have arrangements made with the management team.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board?
I have a question.
Mr. Alexander?
You said that there's one-to-one parking to rental units?
Yes, we have
Residential units?
113 units and 143 parking spaces. So
Okay,
we have
does it-
more than one space per unit.
Okay, does that take into consideration the 2 bedrooms?
Yes, that's just an overall, I think when, and I can't speak for your planning consultant, but typically when planners write redevelopment plans, they take into account 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom when they establish the parking requirements for the redevelopment plan.
Okay.
Mr. Frank?
Is there a loading zone for the trucks for when the tenants move in? Is there a designated spot for that?
Yes, we have a civil engineer who's going to talk about that as well, but there's one being proposed on Bonnell Court.
Okay. Does the Union Fire Department have a ladder truck that would reach the top floor?
I believe we got a letter from the fire department, and they did not raise that as a concern.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. On the rooftop, are there hours of operation? Are there lighting that's going to go out at a certain time?
Yes, and again, based on the previous phases of this development that have access to the rooftop, they would follow those same principles.
Can you remind me, what time do the lights go out on the rooftop?
I do not know the exact time the lights go out.
There's a limitation of 11 p.m.
Okay, thank you. And the rooftop is not rentable for outside? Okay,
No.
thank you.
I have a
Thank you.
question. I'd like you just to explain what you mean when you said what builder means, no smoking building. How is that to be
So-
enforced, or how is it done, or what does it mean?
So, yeah, so again, that's a building management, a building control, but residents, when they move in, when they sign their lease, it's very clearly stated on the lease that it's a no smoking building. It's posted throughout the building, it's a no smoking building.
Yeah, well, that's the question. If one smokes and yet one wishes to rent and complies with everything else, in the privacy of their apartment, that is not allowed?
No.
No. So that we'll have a completely non-smoking building. In any of the public spaces, any outdoor spaces, do you know if it would be allowd upstairs in the
Yeah,
sixth floor, or?
Not on the roof terraces, is my understanding, but
How can
we
you say
can't
no
control.
smoking when you have a fire pit? Just saying.
Again, that's my understanding is it's a no smoking
Do you have
building.
any idea how that's enforced? Is that managerial, or?
It's building management, yes, and it's self-policed.
May I ask if either of you or anyone knows, is that existent in all of the other phases? Or is it unique to this one, and if so, I'd be curious as to why?
Yep, in all of them.
Thank you.
I have to go down to the smoke shop.
Any further questions from the board? I just had a few questions with regards to, actually, I did have a follow-up question with I guess, the smoking. Do those rules also apply to the plaza?
No.
That would be no. No.
Okay, all right. So I'm slightly curious that because you exceed your parking demand by around 23 spots, that we had the comment on 3.4 in the engineer's letter that that you propose 4 barrier-free parking stalls when the requirement is 5. Can you provide a rationale in that decision?
Well, I will say this, we will comply with the engineer's comment letter. We will provide the additional.
Oh, additional, okay.
We will, yes,
Okay.
and I forgot to mention that when I was talking. So there's, with this new electric vehicle charging rule, one of the handicap parking spaces has to be an EV space. And when we were preparing this package, that was new information. It's something that our understanding was that we were still providing, but we need to provide, that electric vehicle handicap space can't count towards our number, our required number. So we will provide the additional handicap space for the project. And we can do that without altering our parking numbers.
Okay. And so one of the handicap spaces will be an EV handicap
That's correct.
space?
Yeah. And it can't count towards our required parking count for EVs. That's why we need the additional one.
actually 6.
No, 4 is required, and then we need the additional EV.
So with the 4 other spaces, are those 4 spaces dedicated to regular size?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are regular size spaces, and in fact, 2 of them are oversized spaces to accommodate a handicap van.
Okay. And then getting into the parking garage, I guess my question is, considering that you have the other building that houses the public parking space, what kind of things such as signage or gates or whatever structures would be in place to mitigate anyone from the public mistakenly going into the residential parking?
So this garage will have a garage door, and it'll have a fob access or a clicker. Each resident that has a parking spot in there will get an access control.
Okay. So they would fob in, door opens, they go in?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any other further questions for the board? Doctor?
Will there be any type of signage, even if it's small, just saying that it's residential parking and not?
We would be happy to put a sign that says residential parking only.
Okay.
So that parking garage, the whole parking garage is sprinkled?
Yes. And again, based on the fire department's comment, we would provide a more robust sprinkler system at the EV charging spaces.
I don't know if you'd be able to tell me, but where would I know you're having there's a sprinkler system. Where in this area would the hydrant be?
I don't know. I think there's existing hydrants on the street. Our building would have to have the required Siamese connections, and all of that is going to have to be done based on building codes.
Any further questions from the board? Hearing none, any questions from the public? Please come up.
How you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Very brief questions. And first thing, commend you on a good presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
How many elevators? Elevators.
I believe we have 2 elevators.
2? Okay. Servicing how many units again? 113?
113, yeah.
Okay. And the other question, pardon, I just jotted it down when I had my head. I'm sorry. What is the general construction of the building?
The parking podium is concrete,
Okay.
so the parking levels will be concrete, and then wood frame construction above that.
Wood frame construction for 6 stories.
Yes.
Okay. Per the IBC or which?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
I just have a thought, excuse me for interrupting the flow. We talked about move-in, and we have 113 fine apartments. It's parking spaces, pardon me. Will there be a freight elevator? If there's 2 elevators,
Sure. So
how do you get your stuff in?
typically what happens is one of the elevators is oversized.
And
So it has an
reserved?
oversized height in the
Yes.
cab for move-ins,
Yes,
and then the other is a passenger elevator.
yes.
So
So it will be not specifically dedicated, but it will be requested at the time of each move-in.
exactly, and building management controls and schedules move-ins.
Mhm.
So on the day of a move-in, they would put special protective
Yeah.
pads up in the elevator, and they would put a sign up that said, this elevator is being used for move-ins, and then the other elevator would be used for pedestrian service.
Any further questions from the public? Okay. Did you have another question, Dr. Kelly?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So elevators, the parking lot, where are the staircases, or is there an elevator in the parking lot area?
And there is, the parking levels have complete access to both the elevators and stairs, the required egress stairs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hale, I think we're ready for the
right,
next
great.
witness.
Great job, Mr. Stevie. I'd like to now call upon our landscape architect, Thomas Carmen.
testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you please spell your name for the record, please?
Sure. Thomas S. Carman, C-A-R-M-A-N.
And Mr. Carmen, if you could please give the benefit of your work experience, area of education, expertise, licenses you hold, and whether you've been accepted as a landscape architect before the boards or courts.
Certainly. Well, pleasure to be here. I'm a principal with the firm Malillo Bauer Carman Landscape Architects. We're located at 200 Union Ave in Brielle, New Jersey. I'm a licensed landscape architect. My license is in good standing. I have a degree from Rutgers University for landscape architecture. I've been licensed and practicing since 1997, and I've appeared before a number of boards, Milburn, Morristown, Parsippany, Woodbridge, Somerville. I had the pleasure of appearing before this board over 10 years ago, and it's good to be back this evening.
Board stipulates.
Great, thank you very much. And similar to Mr. Stevie, I think you have a presentation, if we could mark that as A2.
Very good. So A2 is a slide presentation of 15 images that I'll be sharing this evening. And this is a composite rendering, so same orientation as what Mr. Stevie had with Morris Ave on plan right and Stuyvesant down at the bottom. This plan layers on all the plaza level, the street level. Then we have that third floor rooftop amenity space, and then the upper roof. And I'm going to walk you through just in that order. So the next image, focusing down at the street itself. And we have a richly detailed landscape plan, includes a very diverse palette of hardy plant material, native plant material along the street frontages, the plaza, as well as up through the building. The streetscape treatments that are proposed along the 3 street frontages are in keeping with redevelopment guidelines, utilizing the material palette along Stuyvesant, and then utilizing materials that complement the architecture as we move into the plaza itself. Street trees along Stuyvesant are white oak, and then we have a columnar maple along Morris and Bonnell Court. All the trees are located to respect the proposed existing streetlights, and then central to the project, and really the heart of this Phase 6 is the plaza itself. And we've designed it kind of as a singular space, but also creating some sub areas within there. So as you see at the intersection of Morris and Stuyvesant, the plaza green, a more lush planted area, and then we have the landmark plaza, which is a bit more open, creating the ability to be more flexible and provide opportunities for special events that the public will really be able to enjoy. We also have a retail frontage, so a 10-foot zone off of the building facade in keeping with the redevelopment plan designated for that retail area, and then the Muse as it makes its way back to the parking garage and to Bonnell Court. I'm going to move to the next exhibit, which is, this is the one plan that I'm going to share this evening that is actually one of the submitted plans within the August 10th, 2026 landscape plan set. And this is a compliance plan that shows the various aspects within the redevelopment plan and how we are complying with them from a landscape perspective. The first item is the street tree placing. So along Bonnell, the requirement along Bonnell Court is for the trees to be planted 30 foot on center, and we are proposing that. You will see that That rhythm moves along and is flanked on either side of the parking garage entry, where naturally a tree cannot be located. There is also a requirement to have 1 lineal foot of seating for every 30 square foot within the plaza. So the requirement for that, or the recommendation for that, would be 666 lineal feet of seating area, and we're exceeding that with 697 lineal feet. And this graphic, you can see how we've highlighted areas in yellow and in orange. Those are all of the proposed seating elements towards that requirement. You'll note that along the retail frontage, we show cafe seating that would really be by the tenant of the establishment within that retail use, and you can see that we're not utilizing any of that seating towards the requirement. So we meet the requirement for, as it would be for all public seating areas. Another requirement is that 20% of the plaza be planted, and we're exceeding that requirement with 4,346 square feet. That's identified within the 2 shades of green that are shown on this. And the last requirement that we're tracking is required to have a minimum of 18 trees within the plaza itself, and we're proposing 19. And again, that does not include any of the street trees that we have along the 3 frontages. Moving to a similar vantage point that Mr. Stevie had, this is a 3D view that at the intersection Stuyvesant and Morris, looking at that, what we're referring to as the Plaza Green, right in the foreground. We're seeing the open plaza towards the upper left, and then how we're defining some of those retail frontages. In the foreground, the stairs and the walls, the planter walls, seat walls, create a separation to the streetscape, and also creates an opportunity for public gathering. Moving moving to a eye-level view, so as one is walking along Morris, looking to walk up the stairs, and there is a ramp. The whole plaza space is definitely ADA accessible. There's a ramp just off to the right of this image, but we're seeing how the use of various materials, the seat wall, introducing some wood for some warmth, and then some architectural column lights within the plaza space to accent that. Creates a very lush space. You'll hear related to lighting from the civil engineer, but the street lights along the frontages are the township standard. Now our back is to Stuyvesant, and this is just on the left side of the image is the previously approved building, where there is that retail zone. Where we have some tables and chairs that would be per the retail tenant in there, and planter, and then some trees, cafe string lights as well for some ornamentation within that retail zone. As we move a bit further towards Bonnell, here kind of an evening shot as we're making our way down the Mews, where we have some lush planting flanking either side. Again, the cafe seating, activating that retail at the plaza level. And then that pass-through through the architecture underneath towards Bonnell and towards the garage. This is a great view that I personally really like, looking down at the central space of the plaza. We have that Plaza Green off to the right-hand side, and then the retail zones kind of creating those boundaries. We're also beginning to see the third floor retail residential amenity space up top, but this The plaza itself has been designed to be open so it can afford the opportunity for many different events. So this image right here, we're showing how some of those events could happen. As Mr. Stevie indicated, in the upper left, we're showing where the car show could be, where some of the best-in-class cars may be parked within the plaza. The next image, the center image, could be for a concert, an evening concert, where a stage could be put up. We're showing approximately 200 chairs set out there within that setup. Potentially a holiday market in the upper right, and then a farmer's market shown in the lower left, and potential for like a food truck festival as well. So the plaza really offers some great opportunities for the public to enjoy this space. Now I'm going back to a composite graphic where we show the plaza down below, and then the third floor rooftop amenity space, and then overall the uppermost roof. So I'm going to take you now to that third floor, and this is right off of that interior amenity space. So the image in the upper right, we're actually, our back is to that interior amenity club room, where we have a shade trellis creating some shade for some table and chair seating. We have a fire pit on this area with some lounge seating around it, 2 barbecue grills, and then a synthetic lawn area that can be many different uses, outdoor gaming such as like cornhole as set up in the lower right-hand photo or image. That composite graphic again, just to orient you to, we're moving up to the uppermost rooftop. And on this rooftop, we're proposing again a fire pit. There are 2 barbecue grills, a shade trellis up there as well, and some lounge seating, a counter with an outdoor TV located on that stair tower. This is accessed again off of towards the top of the plan, where there is an interior amenity space, and this overlooks the plaza below. This is the last image I have, and all the planting has been selected for sun and shade exposures. All of it would be irrigated, and as you heard from Mr. Stevie, the rooftop amenities, fire pit and barbecue grills, all code compliant, countdown timers and such. That concludes my overview of the landscape improvements.
Great job again there, Mr. Carmen. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, questions from the board?
Yes, sorry, I have a question. It seems to me that you mentioned that there would be plantings on Bunnell Court. Now, Bunnell Court's kind of getting used as a lobby, a loading zone. Trash will be taken from there. And it's also the exit for all cars that will be exiting the parking space. That's a busy spot. It's not that wide.
On Bonnell, we have the required street trees. The redevelopment plan requires street trees planted 30 foot on center, which the 5 trees that we're proposing here are 30 foot on center. You do see a wider gap where the entry to the garage is, but that is a requirement of the redevelopment plan.
And that is the same, if I recall, the same area that will have a 12-foot setback.
I don't recall the exact setback over there, but we do have adequate room for the tree planting as well as a sidewalk.
It'll be a busy spot.
Mr. Gohan.
Thank you. So I have some questions about the trees.
and one that just came to mind based upon what you said a moment ago. Is there anything relative to the choice of the species of tree or the maintenance plan that will mitigate sidewalk heaving over time from roots?
The tree species that we've selected are native trees, and then we have selected trees that the size of it, the columnar maple along the where the tighter sidewalk curb to building frontage is. So we've utilized these trees in other applications, and they have worked well for us. We'd be happy to study it further to ensure, but we are comfortable with what we have currently proposed.
And then some other questions about the trees themselves. What's their expected maximum height when they reach maturity?
So the maple this columnar maple, this variety, potentially could get in the 35-foot range, 40 feet over a significant time, but they would be proposed to go in at about 14 feet.
And then what about the circumference of the crown of the trees? 30 feet on center, is there any chance that they'll come together over time?
The species that we have selected is a columnar one, and they would not.
Right.
They would not actually touch at 30 foot on
And
center.
final question, will they need to be pruned or maintained regularly in order to kind of keep the visual look that's shown in the renderings?
No, the trees really, they will be maintained, right? And they would be pruned for any potential dead limbs or cross-branching limbs, just for the health and the maintenance of the tree, but not pruned to keep the size in control.
Or shape?
Or shape, right. We're specifying a variety that is conducive to where it's proposed.
And you mentioned white maple as well, white oak as well?
That's correct.
Are they also limited in their growth pattern?
They are a larger tree than the maple, but they are along the edge of the plaza space where we feel it's appropriate to have a larger canopy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As a practical matter, sir, who will be pruning and maintaining?
The plaza itself, as well as all the proposed landscape improvements, would be maintained by the applicant.
And I have another somewhat similar practical question. From what you've shown of your plantings and the rendering of the sixth floor outdoor space, it's totally open. Really, is that correct?
It is.
How does one get snow off there?
It's a very good question. Let me go
or
to
ice formations that we've had last year for 3 weeks at a time.
So both of the rooftop areas, the common zones, are maintained and regulated by the owner, the management, right? So if there is inclement weather or snow or ice, that rooftop would certainly be shut down for a period. On the rooftop, there is other areas to place snow outside of the common area. What we found is during those colder days and during the winter when there is snow, few residents are using the rooftop.
Would there be any implanted warming areas so that I just recall last winter, which was a rough one, ice formed and stayed for very, very long periods of time. I don't know, just thought it's a very practical question.
It is a very practical question, yeah, and yeah, it's a management thing, question that I feel confident that they would be able to handle.
Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay. Mr. Donave, did you have a question?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just one question. I just want to verify. All utilities, including electric, underground?
I'm going to defer that to the civil engineer, who will be up testifying next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hale?
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Mr. Carmen.
Thank you.
I'd like to now call upon Michael Nona, our professional engineer.
President, will you raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you spell your name for the record, please?
My name is Michael Nona, spelled Michael-Nona. I'm a project manager at Stonefield Engineering and Design, located at 92 Park Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey. I hold a bachelor's of civil engineering from Wayne State University. I'm a practicing and licensed civil engineer. My license is current and good standing, and I've testified in front of multiple boards across the state of New Jersey, including this one.
Board stipulates.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nona, obviously you've heard the witnesses so far. We've all worked together on this project. If you could take the board through the civil engineering aspects of the project.
Sure. I'd like to thank Bruce and Tom. They did a lot of my work for me already. But just to orient everyone on the site again, this is a new exhibit that has not been submitted to the board yet. It is an aerial exhibit dated 8/24/2026. I believe this would be A3.
A3, correct.
So I'll be brief. Bruce kind of run through most of this. The site fronts to the north, Morris Avenue, which is DOT highway. To the west, we have Stuyvesant Avenue, which is a county road, and to the east, it's Bonnell Court. To the south, there are the two other Centurion projects, which I believe are Phase 1 and Phase 4. Phase 4 is currently approved but not constructed. Phase 1 has already been constructed. So the site is about 1.25 acres or 55,000 square feet and is located within the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment plan. The surrounding uses, as I mentioned, are the other mixed-use residential buildings as well as some commercial spaces. There's some restaurants, some bars, and including medical facilities or medical office spaces, I should say, and small parking. Obviously, across the street, there's now the public parking garage as well. Moving on to the site improvements, I'll be brief here. It's a six-story mixed-use building with 113 units, as you've already heard. We are compliant on parking by providing 143 parking spaces where 113 are required. There is that waiver that Bruce mentioned for the 24 compact spaces. We're comfortable with this, and we've spoken with the board engineer about it. Because we are providing a 1-to-1 ratio as required by the redevelopment plan, this is a fairly de minimis deviation. Moving on to the submitted site plans. One second, I don't think I have them pulled up. Sorry about that. So these are the site plans dated 8/10/2026, and they were submitted as part of this application. To answer one question that was asked before, there are two hydrants on site that are going to remain. There's one on this on the corner of Morris Avenue and Stuyvesant, and there's a second on the corner of Morris and Bonnell. Both of those are intended to remain. Moving on to the site, I'd like to note that the site is completely compliant with the bulk zoning with regards to setbacks, step backs, the building height, the building coverage. The building coverage is 65%, where 75 is required. 68.5, I'm sorry. And Bruce had mentioned the redevelopment plan does include a requirement for step backs on the buildings on the third and sixth floors, which were shown in the building elevations. We already mentioned that there's a loading zone. You can see it located on the plan right over here. It's in front of the lobby. I can zoom in if you need. But it is 40 feet by 12 feet. That is intended for trash pickup, deliveries, Amazon deliveries, stuff like that, as well as building move in and move out. That space will be allocated by building management to only, as discussed before, move in and move out is going to be scheduled by building management, so that loading space will be available while residents are moving. The most exciting part of this project, obviously, is the public plaza. As Bruce mentioned, Morris Avenue kind of necks down as you approach the site, so it really makes this front corner kind of a grand entrance. Through the renderings, you can see it a little more clearly, but there are a series of steps and ramps that help maintain ADA compliance, but while still making the front inviting with a mix of landscaping, hardscape, and seating areas. Obviously, there are plenty of trees provided. The requirement for this plaza are 18 trees, where 19 are provided, and we comply with the requirement of 20% vegetated area. We are also compliant on street trees around the entire site, which the requirement is 17. It was mentioned before that the requirement for the spacing on street trees is 30 feet on center on Bonnell Court. There is one area where we don't meet that requirement, so that would be a waiver, and that is due to the location of the driveway and utility rooms. We were not able to get those trees that within that 30 feet. Moving on to utilities, all utilities are going to be provided off of Bonnell Court, with the exception of the gas main. There is no gas main within Bonnell, so that is going to move up and connect to an existing line in Morris Avenue. We have submitted will-serve letters to all applicable utility authorities and received all of them except for telecom and the sanitary sewer from the town. We have received a will-serve from the joint and Essex. Thank you. Lighting is being provided on site via a series. Well, I should start with on the streetscape, we're providing lighting on all frontages. We did have a discussion with the board engineer, and they are looking at a very specific light fixture that we haven't been provided yet, but we're happy to swap it out once we get that. We are confident that the lighting on site is compliant with safety. There is a waiver requested. The average lighting the requirement for average lighting is 0.3 foot candles along Bonnell Court. We are exceeding that by quite a bit. It's 8.3 foot candles, but we feel that that's appropriate to maintain safety on that frontage for pedestrians, especially that's the lobby entrance. That's where the garages are. We want that area to be well illuminated so that everyone can see where they're going. We're also, I'm going to move on to the lighting plan just to show some of the features that we're providing. You can see the proposed fixture A up here. That's just the pretty typical acorn fixture that you're going to be seeing along the frontages. Like I mentioned, we will swap that out with whatever the exact fixture that matches the Morris, the Union Township streetscapes. On site, we have a series of string lights, decorative poles. I'm not exactly sure how to describe this one, but it's like a ring light that is underneath this canopy area and kind of ties everything together. The requirement for the average lighting in the plaza area is 2 foot candles, and we're exceeding that slightly by providing about 3. Stormwater on site is provided via an infiltration basin located underneath the plaza. It's noted that we do not at this time have infiltration rates, but we have designed the system to detain the full, to comply with all NJDEP requirements. The site, due to its size, it's over an acre in size, we are considered a major development by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and we are required to comply with quantity, quality, and groundwater recharge. Because we're in the metropolitan planning area, we are exempt from groundwater recharge. And because we are actually decreasing motor vehicle surface by over 20,000 square feet, we are also exempt from water quality. So we are complying with the water quantity requirement via this detention system by reducing the major storm events by 50, 75, and 80% for the 2, 10, and 100-year storms respectively. Mr. Seavey mentioned the signage. While a full signage package has not been submitted, we're completely compliant. And we're complying with the streetscape requirements for the plaza. I'd also like to note that the property line for block 11.01 does run along this, run through the plaza. Obviously, it helps that Landmark is a developer for both of them, but we are working with that engineer to make sure that these two spaces cohesively tie together and there's no issues with grading or anything like that between the two buildings. I also would like to note that we have received the engineering review letter dated August 25th, 2026. I didn't see any issues complying with the requests. I did want to note a few of them down. One, it's noted here that because we're exempt from water quality or water quality, the infiltration test may not be required. And also, there was a note about the location of 2 of the stormwater manholes. As on the plan that I have shown, they're currently located within the sidewalk. We're happy to explore, relocating those to maintain pedestrian, to avoid any tripping hazards or anything like that. And I mentioned this before, but for the lighting, it's noted that there is a specific pole that the town would request. We're more than happy to comply with updating the lighting plan once those specifications are received. We also received a letter from the fire department. Mr. Stevie mentioned the items that I was going to talk about, like the EV charging spaces, which are going to be provided on the first floor. A more robust sprinkler system will be provided, and other than that, we have no, including those, I should say, we have no issue complying with those requirements. That concludes my testimony. I'm happy to take any questions. All right.
Again, great job. Thank you, Mr. Donna. Mr. Chairman, no further questions.
Okay. Questions from the board? Mr. Cohan?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions related, well, one question, one comment, related to demolition of the existing buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Based upon prior phases of the project, some of that is going to take a little bit of time, a lot of heavy equipment, and it'll be very near a main thoroughfare in town, a busy state highway.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any consideration given or discussion about implosion of the existing buildings to minimize the time frame? I don't know. I suspect there's a cost factor. That would be the decision of the applicant, but I wonder whether that might be a more efficient way to make certain that the project moves along efficiently and minimizes the impact on traffic flow and so on.
To my knowledge, that hasn't been discussed, but we can work with the applicant and discuss that with the engineer.
And the comment is, I learned recently, to my surprise, that the building immediately on the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant Avenue, the Falls building, has some historical significance to the community. Before this building was built, that was the location of the public meetings of the township committee. And I wonder whether the township or the developer might consider putting some sort of a, whether it's appropriate, put some sort of a commemorative plaque of acknowledgement for that, because it's of historical significance to the community. This is going to transform the town center in a very positive way, but we don't want to forget the past.
Sure. I was going to say, yeah, certainly, client is committed, investing in Union Township, this being the sixth phase, and no problem with that, working with the township, the historical society,
And
and the
let me
like,
be
that'd
clear,
be
that's a
great.
personal opinion. It's up to the governing body to decide what they want to do.
Sure.
Thank
Great
you.
point, though.
Nothing further.
Any further questions from the board? Doctor?
Can you tell me how the lighting is going to look on the Stuyvesant Avenue, especially with the garage being there? Is that, or not the Stuyvesant Avenue, I'm sorry. It's Morris Avenue, where the garage is. Because there's that, no, no.
So
It was-
here, I can point.
Thank
Are you talking
you.
about over here where the garage is?
Yes, where the
So it's
garages
on
are.
Bonnell.
No, no, no. Do you see the car spaces on Morris?
Are we talking about the public garage?
No, I'm talking about the
our-
residential.
Our garage entrance?
Yes. Not the
Not
entrance, the actual, like,
Those spaces, but I believe they're internal to the building, but
Yeah.
if you could touch on that.
so what does the outside look like in terms of lighting?
All the lighting I described was outside. That's for the.
No, but that particular, because you're going to have the retail area, you're going to have the plaza that has lighting that's going to have, it's going to be really bright, right? You're going to have the string lights. You even went through
Okay, I understand.
Bonnell. Yeah.
So on
On
Bonnell
Morris.
Court, the only lighting proposed along that frontage are those street lights that are, shown all over town. The string lights are going from the canopy area, so this portion of the building is actually an open canopy, and then the string lights will start through here and continue towards Stuyvesant to the plaza.
So I guess my question is more so Morris Avenue.
Morris Avenue will also have the street lights, like the acorn tops, and then there's also wall sconces around the building that are going to be downlit and uplit for accent lighting, and then some additional lighting near the foundation.
Okay, so the sidewalk will be illuminated?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, in every of the renderings, in front of the plaza, there are several cars indicated, rendered, with parking lines. Will it be the intention of the owner and, I guess, the township to allow parking right in front of that new plaza?
So that is a county roadway. We don't have control over whether or not there is parking. There's currently.
There's parking there now.
I'm aware, yes. There's public parking there now, so the intention is to maintain that. I'm actually glad you brought that up, though, because there's one thing that I had forgot to mention in my testimony. So access is provided for the garage from Bonnell, as I mentioned before, but we're also proposing a curb cut along Stuyvesant. This is mainly for access for those different events, food trucks or car shows and things like that, so that vehicles can get up onto this plaza area and stage. It's not intended that this is for anybody to go in. The applicant would have to work with the town and the municipal parking authority on this parking space in front of it, whether that would be closed during events or, striped off so that those vehicles can enter the site during certain times. That being said, to answer your question more directly, we don't intend on removing the parking along Stuyvesant, except possibly that one space, contingent on working that out with the municipal parking authority and the board.
Okay. I guess that's somewhat clear. Thank you.
Any further questions from the Mr. Gahan?
One more question. You talked about the runoff mitigation system.
Yes.
Is there any possibility that the parking area below grade would flood in a severe storm?
The building will be waterproofed, and there is drainage along the roof, so everything is also graded so that it would pitch away from the drive entrance. So I'm confident that the building wouldn't flood, and there will also be a sump in the building to ensure that water can get out.
Okay, thank you.
I guess to just drill down that a little bit more, was my follow-up question, just for clarity. To mitigate any flooding in the lower level parking, how would any potential runoff in the lower level be fed to the underground basin? Like,
I would have to defer to the architect on that.
To the
but
architect, okay.
Most commonly, there would be, like similar to in like the basement of a house, a sump with some sort of pump that would go to either the storm or the sanitary system, most likely the sanitary system, and then that would be connected to the sanitary leads for the building.
okay. All right. Well, make sure just the architect just to confirm that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, that's,
Yeah, so I think any of that, any kind of a flood event like that would be handled with a sump pump.
Through the sump pump.
Similar to the way he said it, yeah. You'd have a perimeter drain and then, so.
And is it just like one? How many? I guess how many are involved, and like where would they be technically located on the lower level?
We haven't engineered that yet. That would be
Okay.
something that we would do in construction documents. But, you know, if there's any reason to believe that we would have a flooding condition, then we would have to follow the building codes and come up with the right solution for that, which would be then reviewed by the building department and anybody that's looking at it from a code perspective.
Okay.
And to follow up on that, we have done due diligence by reviewing the FEMA flood mapping as well as the available DEP flood records. This site is not located within any of those, any flood areas, any environmentally sensitive areas. There are no wetlands on site. There's no flood hazard area.
Okay. Follow up to you didn't flag the curb cut to provide vehicles to access it for the plaza for like events or to help the logistics for events. But when events are not being held at the plaza, is there anything that would mitigate, for lack of a better word, a rogue car making that turn and having their car into the plaza? Are there any bollards or any kind of structures that would mitigate or control unauthorized access for a car onto the plaza?
At the moment, nothing is proposed. We're happy to explore those options with the board engineer. There's also a county frontage, so the county will have say on whether or not that curb cut will require any sort of additional protection.
Okay.
But I think most likely it's because that parking space may or may not remain. If it does remain, then I think that would be stopping most people from entering.
And-
What was the purpose of building it or engineering it that way in the first place?
So that vehicles could have access, like vehicles as in the food trucks or the car shows or the vendors for farmers markets can access that site.
I see. And then why would we want to
I think,
eliminate it?
I believe the question was for, just anyone on the street pulling in and parking in the middle of the plaza.
Anything temporary, anything proposed for just that purpose, to close it off except for during events?
So at the
Certainly
moment, we don't have anything
practical.
proposed, but we're happy to, if that is something that the board would like us to explore, we can work with the engineer and propose some sort of
The word
like
bollard came up, but in
yeah,
fact.
we
some sort
removable,
of a
removable bollards or
chain.
some sort of, yeah.
Just to make it workable.
Mhm.
Okay. And Mr. Donave, did you have a question?
I just wanted to fill the board in. We talked a little bit about the lighting, and one of my comments indicated that the town is looking at some other types of lighting. There's some new lighting heads that are out there. So I didn't want to remove the possibility that we change the lighting standard in downtown. Right now, they're reviewing heads that have Wi-Fi in them, have music in them, and also have cameras in them for security purposes. So it wouldn't necessarily be every light, but if we can find a manufacturer that matches some of the streetscape, we're looking at some people right now, and they're not that costly, but I think it's the next wave in lighting that we want to make sure that we have the proper lighting in there, and that it's incorporated into this plan. So not shown on the plan, but they're agreeing to if we change ours, that they'd look into that.
Yeah, and we agree to that condition.
So I did have two questions as it relates to Bonnell. One regarding deliveries for the retail. Is that where the deliveries, excuse me, would come from?
Most likely, there is not a requirement for a loading zone for a retail space of 10,000 square feet or less. That being said, logistically, there would be some sort of parking or deliveries that would be coordinated with building management for the retail space and most likely in that same loading zone.
Okay. Also, what about a crosswalk connecting the public garage area to the plaza on Bonnell?
Like in the middle, you think?
Yes. Has there been thought given to that?
We weren't proposing it because, because it's not an intersection or a natural place, but
Mid-block.
if that's something that the board would like to see, we have the space, we can definitely fit in ADA compliant ramps, most likely down here where there's a nice entrance, or looking at this a little bit closer, it might require shifting some of these trees, which might accentuate that 30-foot spacing waiver. But if that's something that the board would like to see, I think it would make sense to tie it in probably in the middle of this plaza. Kind of right in the location of that tree, honestly.
Mr. Chairman, if the board would be agreeable, I think that's something that we could work on with our professionals. It may make sense, it may cause other problems, but,
I think I'm seeing nods amongst board members, so we're in agreement.
okay. Thank you. One last comment. I think in terms of during the construction phase, maybe down the line, other conditions may change where some of the other construction is, whether it's completed, still in construction. I think one of the requirements or stipulations should be that the applicant, I think, would be agreeable to coming up with a construction phasing plan to address the items the board discussed: safety, pedestrian access, temporary parking, any modifications. I'm working with our department and the police and building department to formulate a plan at the time of construction.
Yeah,
We can agree to that
yeah,
condition.
I agree. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just another question and remark. I understand that there will be a loading zone in front of the lobby on Benet
Correct.
Court? So and I heard you mention Amazon and so forth, and there's a package space for those things. If I call for a pizza, where does my pizza guy park?
There's,
Yeah.
that's a
There's
good
no
question.
parking there,
There's no public parking on Bonnell
correct?
at existing.
Okay.
So there is public parking on Stuyvesant, so you could go on Stuyvesant and walk around, but
Really?
if we're being perfectly honest, he's gonna double park on Bonnell and just run in real quick.
But the loading zone would be allowed for vehicles which would be moving.
Well,
Fancy
it's
trucks,
it's
whatever.
for all loading for the building. Most likely, it depends what time this food is ordered. Uber Eats is now happening all the time.
Right, and where's that person park?
So-
In Stuyvesant and walk around to? but
Either
not to get into
or they would use the loading zone and they would just walk in and let the building management know, like, hey, I'm out here for 5 minutes. I got to go drop food off, because this is also a key fob building, as mentioned before.
Yes.
So any delivery food drivers would have to announce themselves at the front desk and be most likely let up, so they would be aware that there's a vehicle outside.
Just a supplement to that, could they, considering that the lounge would be accessed through Bonnell, I mean, on Bonnell there is the public parking space as well that they could utilize to park for a few moments to go to the building, drop the food order, and go back and leave, right?
Yeah.
public parking garage.
Yeah, I'm also told that because the parking, Mr. Mano, because the parking was eliminated there, that the municipality, the township, is actually going to be adding some loading spaces along that area.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. Any further questions from the board?
Another question, you had mentioned several different types of commercial establishments that were intended.
Oh, I'm sorry. Those were existing establishments on that frontage. So right now, a tenant has not been selected.
Right.
So it will
You
be.
spoke, I heard you say a medical facility could be possible. Are these possibilities, or does the developer have something already?
So I may have misspoke when I said a medical facility. There's a eye doctor that is currently on Morris Avenue. That's what I was referring to. So right now, tenants are not selected, but they will comply with the permitted uses within the redevelopment plan.
Thank you. I like that clarity, thank you. So at this point it's vacant?
Correct.
To rent.
Exactly.
Doctor?
I'm not sure if you would be the one to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. How does the venues that happen in the public space, what is the process for approval for that?
I can probably touch on that. As far as utilizing, whether it be the food truck or so, yeah, that would be something, it's obviously going to be, is owned or will be owned by the applicant and owner. And we've talked about this, that we would coordinate with the township on events like that as far as setup, maintenance, cleanup, and the like. So Vince and I had talked about that, and again, I think it'll be a synergy in working with the township.
Are you willing to, would you be willing to agree to a condition put in the resolution that you will work with the township to come up with something there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great question.
Any further questions from the board?
Just a clarification, as we're finishing this portion. As far as we'll call it synergy and so forth, there will be need perhaps for security, for cleaning, for arranging for payments and so forth. Can that please be part of the memorandum of understanding between the municipality?
Oh, it would certainly have to be, yes.
I want that on the record, thank you.
Yeah.
Questions from the public? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks, Mr. Nye. I'd like to call upon our traffic engineer, Craig Paragoy.
I think some of our board members need a bio break.
No
So
problem.
if we
Thank
can
you.
just recess for 5 minutes and then come
Great.
back.
Thank you very
Thank you for your patience.
All right, call the planning board back in session. Mr. Hale?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Would you spell your name for the record?
Sure, my name is Craig Paragoy, P-E-R-E-G-O-Y.
My name is Paragoy, traffic engineer. Mr. Chairman, I know he's testified before this board on numerous occasions. Your license still full force in effect?
Yep, everything's in good standing.
Board
Right.
stipulates.
Great, thank
Yep.
you. Paraguay, obviously you've heard all of the testimony here this evening, worked on the various phases of the project. If you could please provide an overview of your study and the justification for the project.
Sure. Obviously, we're looking at a site that's completely developed today. That's going to be removed, and we're putting the new building in. I prepared my traffic study as if there was nothing here on the site, so it's a more conservative analysis of what's going on. We're also improving the access. There's a driveway now on Morris Avenue, and there's a few curb cuts on Bunnell Court. It's all going to go to one consolidated driveway, so that's a big improvement right there. And really, the traffic generation between what's on site and what we're proposing is probably a wash, but I'll go through briefly what we did in our traffic study, again, assuming this was all vacant land. We took traffic counts on both ends of Bunnell Court at Johnson Place and at Morris Avenue for probably the 9th time, because I've worked on all these phases of this project over many years. What we did was look at the weekday morning and weekday evening rush hour, peak hour time periods where you're going to see a residential building at its busiest and the roadways are at their busiest. So that's, looking at a worst case scenario. And then what we need to do is take those existing traffic volumes that we counted and sort of project into the future. NJDOT publishes a 2.25% per year growth rate for this area. I can tell you, having counted this, like I said, over about 15 years, these same intersections, we're not really seeing that much of a growth rate, but we use that based on the DOT data times 2, so I used it for 2 years. We also added in the traffic volumes from the approved and under construction phases that aren't actually occupied yet to get to that future baseline of what the traffic will be like in the future upon when this building would open. As far as the traffic generation of the project itself, we use the ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. There's 2 ways that I can do that with a mixed-use building like this. We can look at how much traffic the residential units generate, and how much traffic the commercial space generates. And then there's a calculation to consider the internal capture. In other words, if I live in the building and I go visit one of the retail spaces, I'm not getting in my car and driving out onto the road and then back into the building. So we do that calculation to get the actual external traffic numbers. And then the second way is the ITE has recently added a land use multifamily housing over ground floor commercial space. So I looked at it both ways. The first way, where I take a look at them both separately and do the internal, was a higher number, so I used that. That's kind of the worst case scenario, although the lower numbers are probably more realistic, but since this is the last phase really here on Bunnell Court, we really want to test the worst case scenario and see what we get. So I use those higher numbers, add that to those future volumes that I grew with the DOT rates and the unfinished portions of the prior phases, and then I can do an analysis comparing what is it like in the future without this project and what is it like with this project. And fortunately, in the early phase of these projects, when Bunnell Court was 2-way, turning out from Bunnell Court onto Morris Avenue was kind of the tough thing. So it was very smart that the roadway became a 1-way roadway towards Johnson Place because now we have great levels of service. Level of service being sort of the delay per vehicle at an intersection. A is the best and F is the worst. We're at a levels of service B at both of those intersections, and that's a large part of that is a function of Bunnell Court becoming a 1-way road. It simplifies the turning movements a lot more. More importantly, the future condition doesn't change. Those levels of service stay the same with or without this project. And as I mentioned before, realistically, you're going to see an improvement more so than my report says, because we're removing traffic generating uses that are there today, and we're improving the access, taking that driveway off of the busier Morris Avenue and putting everything where it should be on the much more lower volume Bunnell Court. So from a traffic impact perspective, I really think this is actually going to be an improvement. I wish I had pictures of plazas and things to show you, but that's the best I can do as a traffic engineer. In terms of the parking, I think that's been discussed by two witnesses now. We have more than is required. The compact spaces, as was testified to, I agree. Perfectly common and works very well when you have assigned spaces in a residential building. So I don't think we need to go over the parking again. We already talked about that. So that's really it. That was in the traffic study.
Great. And from a traffic standpoint, you've had an opportunity, obviously, to review the Collier's letter. No issues with any of
No
their
issues with
comments?
anything in there. Nope.
Great, thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman?
Questions from the board? Mr. Cohen?
So, did you study, or what did you learn about traffic traveling westbound on Morris Avenue, turning left into Bonnell Court?
Yeah,
Does
that's
that
the only,
create an issue?
No, that's the only movement that gets a level of service now, because it used to be anytime you have to stop or yield to other traffic, that's where you have a delay. So that's the only movement that makes the delay, and that's a level of service B. Yeah.
So it never backs up to the Stuyvesant Avenue?
No,
intersect?
no, definitely not.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just had one question on the future level of service. I noticed that you mentioned Morris Bonnell, Johnson Bonnell, and Bonnell Court in the site driveway. As you're going down Bonnell, making a left onto Johnson, you're going to exit through either Stuyvesant or Elmwood. Based on the trip generations that you've calculated, can you testify if future level of service would be affected for Elmwood or Stuyvesant as they're exiting from Johnson?
No, oh, you mean the intersection to the south with the circle?
With the circle, yeah.
Yeah, no, by that point, you're going to have, we're already talking about a pretty minimal volume of traffic generated by 113 units. They're all going to be at Johnson Place because that's the only way out, right? So my comparative analysis there shows no impact. So now you got half of them going back out to Morris Avenue to the signal, and then it's even less going in that direction.
I think you said
So
a
I don't see
third
any
in the
impact.
report. A third of the
Is
traffic
that
going.
yeah, whatever it is, but they disperse.
Mhm.
So the impact doesn't create a change in the level of service at the intersection where they all go, so it's going to be less as you get farther away.
Okay.
So I don't see any impacts there now.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the board? Questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Hale?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as our final witness, I'd like to call upon our professional planner, Nicholas Graviano.
Mr. Graviano, you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And will you spell your name for the record?
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, last name Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Graviano has testified numerous times before this board. Your credentials and license as a professional planner are still in full force and effect?
Yes, state of New Jersey is allowing me to do this to May 31st, 2028.
There you go. All right.
Board stipulates.
Thank you. Always
Thank
a pleasure being here, Board.
Yeah. Mr. Graviano, obviously, this is a generally conforming project within a redevelopment area. Some minor waivers, no variances associated. If you could please provide the justification for any of the relief being sought.
Certainly, the applicant's before the board this evening for Phase 6 of the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment plan. This is a specific piece of property known as Block 2903, lots 11.01, 16 through 24. That is a 1.2-acre site, which is the cornerstone of the Stuyvesant Avenue redevelopment area. There's extensive testimony and exhibits placed before me. I'll keep this brief. The applicant is requesting 4 design waivers in relation to this application. As Mr. Hale indicated, as the Collier's review letter indicated, there are no variances required with this application. As the Collier's letter also indicated, the plans are consistent with the redevelopment plan. I'll go through that in my testimony. The first waiver related to the compact parking spaces. The waiver number 2 was in relation to the green roof square footage requirement. While the applicant is providing a rooftop amenity, it doesn't meet the letter of law of the plan. The third waiver was the street tree planting distance. That was due to the fact that the driveway entrance necessitated a planting distance greater than what's required in the plan. Then lastly, you heard the need for a waiver for lighting intensity on Bonnell Court as well as within the plaza itself. The testimony was that was needed for adequate safety, both pedestrian safety in those areas. The redevelopment plan indicates that today's market demands a more dynamic downtown, a more vibrant community that can be achieved through mid-rise development with garage floor parking and retail and residential units above. This sort of project can invigorate a street, increase safety, provide jobs, and continue to provide parking as an amenity while encouraging pedestrian activities. You saw the impeccably designed plans before the board tonight, the architectural plans, the site plans, as well as the landscape architecture plans. This is certainly a plan which goes towards meeting that objective of the redevelopment plan. Specific goals of the redevelopment plan include provide for a more appropriate use of the site by allowing multi-story mixed-use development, promote multi-story residential design that combines traditional design and planning concepts with contemporary uses to create a sense of place. That front plaza certainly creates a sense of place for that corner. Additionally, obviously this board made the determination that the redevelopment plan was consistent with the municipality's master plan. Specific master plan goals include supporting desirable non-residential development, strengthening downtown centers by encouraging a mix of non-residential and residential uses, and providing adequate parking to serve established residential and commercial areas. The applicant is providing the necessary quantity of off-street parking with this application. Additionally, this proposal advances purposes of zoning and municipal land use law, specifically Purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of lands in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Obviously, this is a redevelopment area with a project that's substantially conforming with the requirements of the redevelopment plan. It also promotes the establishment of appropriate population densities, provides sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential and commercial uses. And then lastly, it certainly promotes a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangements. So in conclusion, the 4 requested waivers can be granted without substantial impairment to the redevelopment plan as well as the master plan. And this project as a whole is befitting of the redevelopment area, promoting many of the goals and objectives of the redevelopment plan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Graviano. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Questions from the board? Questions from the public? Mr. Hale?
Yep, we
Thank
have
you,
no
Board.
further witnesses at this time, Mr. Chairman and board members, and certainly if the board has any questions of our witnesses that have testified so far, they are available.
Are there any further questions from the board?
In the letter, engineer's letter, there was a discussion of possible movement of manhole covers to avoid tripping. That was never talked about. Just
I
wanted to-
think Michael might have touched on that.
Pardon
Yeah.
me, I missed it then. Thank
Yeah.
you. That was,
And there was no problem with that, right?
yeah, I didn't think so. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Any further questions? General comments from the board? I'll just make a quick comment just regarding the plaza, and I think there is an immense value and opportunity with this public plaza, especially of being a centerpiece for the town center and for the town in general. I think there's a lot of things to be considered with some kind of agreement with the township on how it's maintained, how it's going to be used, and not only that, provisions just to make sure that it will be taken care of as long as possible. I think probably one of the questions that I asked with regards to smoking on the plaza, I mean, to think of the general health and welfare of not only the residents, but also people who would patron, especially if you have some dining experiences on that front level, utilizing that outdoor dining area. Want to make sure that people are not enjoying their meal and smelling something 10 feet away from them. So some things to consider there, just putting it as a suggestion as the township and the developer work on some kind of arrangement to making sure that that public plaza is an amazing success for many years to come. So that's just my general comment on that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So this is the final phase of this particular development, and with the public plaza and with the rest of the streetscapes that are part of it and the mixed-use buildings, it causes me to recall commentary and discussion in this township from 25 years ago. 25 years ago, Union Center was dying. It was an eyesore to many long-term residents. And there was lots of fits and starts. There was lots of conversation about how to revitalize the center. We developed a special improvement district, which was one strategy. But we're now coming to a conclusion where we're going to have a vibrant center, hopefully. And, you know, it's my hope that some of these retail spaces are filled with restaurants that get a lot of foot traffic. We've got some restaurants now that have improved some of that. But it's taken 25 or more years. And I'm pleased that I'm sitting here with an opportunity to have influence on moving forward and trying to finally solve that problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further comments? With that, can I get a motion to approve the application? Moved by Dr. Khalid. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Alexander. Roll call, please. Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Mayor Frazier?
Yes.
Committeewoman Terrell?
Yes.
Dr. Clinton?
Yes.
Thank you very much, and really appreciate the hard efforts of this board, the township, my client, Manny Fernandez, and a true working relationship, and look forward to this corner being developed and the entire center being redeveloped. Thank you again.
We are totally looking forward to it. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
With no further business, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan, second. Seconded by Dr. Khalid. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.